Welcome, welcome friends. I am thrilled that you stopped in to watch this video. Thank you for being here. Welcome into my craft room, Heidi Samble DIY. Today's episode is a really fun, special episode because we are taking the most random items at the Dollar Tree and turning them into adorable fall pumpkins. These are the spray paint colors I'm going to be using: Rustic Orange, Real Orange, and this beautiful copper undertone gold spray paint. These colors are so beautiful, all by Rust-Oleum. All right, now let's get crafting. I found this frame in the home section at the Dollar Tree. We're going to pop it apart and spray paint it. I thought the shape on this was so beautiful and I wanted to turn it into a pumpkin. So I took it outside. I used my Real Orange spray paint by Rust-Oleum, and I'm going to now put that to the side after it had dried. Obviously, I brought it back in, and I'm going to cut apart the plastic piece. I just took my scissors, I went down a straight line, cut around that little clip, and then came back up, because we're going to be using that to put a whole bunch of patterned scrapbook paper on it. This is the easiest craft. We're going to just take 2-inch strips and 1-inch strips, and we're going to just layer them and pattern them however you would like. This is such a fun project that any age and any craft level can completely try it and be very successful with it. Now we're going to take some adhesive. You can see that I roughed up my paper edge. I thought that would look very scrapbook chic and cute. And then I'm going to come back in with my scissors and the overhang from that plastic sheet that was inside the frame. I'm just going to trim it down. Once I've got it trimmed down on one side and the other side, I'm going to also put scrapbook pattern paper on the back of it because I wanted it to be able to be versatile. You can turn it either way and both sides are really cute. So once I've got that all trimmed up, I'm going to go ahead and use the rest of that pattern paper and do the exact same process, adding on the adhesive and then cutting it down to size. Now once I'm all done with that and I've trimmed it all down, I'm going to go ahead and pop it back into the frame. And here's the cute thing. You really could put a darling picture on the pattern paper and that could be really cute too, and actually use it back as a frame. But I wanted to use mine, like I said, for a pumpkin. There's lots of possibilities with this as a pumpkin. You can use it as a frame or you can use it as a frame table decor. Alright, now once I've got that all popped back together and it snaps back really easily, now we can leave it like this or we can add a little bit more, which is my favorite step. I'm going to make this have a crackle finish to it. I really love the Folk Art Crackle Paint Mixed Media liquid, and I know some people say you can use Elmer's glue. I have not tried that, but I really love the finished look that this Crackle Paint Mixed Media liquid does on projects. So once I put a nice thick coat on it, I let it dry, and then I'm going to come in with a peachy orange color. I love that the crackle underneath was the darker orange and then the lighter orange on top. I just thought that this was so beautiful. Once I've got a nice thick coat on, and you want to work quick, by the way, with this stuff because it starts working almost immediately. You really can't drag your paintbrush through it a whole bunch of times because it will start to pull the paint. So I went ahead, painted all around it, and once it was dry, I really wanted the shape of the frame to pop out more. So I'm going to come in and dry brush all along the edge so we can see that beveled, beautiful edge on the frame. I'm just going to come back over, add in a little bit of a rustic farmhouse flair to it, and bringing forward that edging. Now for the top, you honestly could use anything for the stem of this pumpkin, but I decided it would be really cute to try rope. So I'm just cutting out 4 pieces of the same length of rope. I'm going to add some glue on top of 2 of them smushed together, and then center that third rope right in the middle of those 2. Let that dry for a second, flip it over to the other side, and then glue that 4th one into that other side. So it makes this really, really cool stem to my pumpkin frame. And then I'm going to trim it down, and I want it to lay flat on the frame. I don't want it to fall off over time. So I decided to rip just a little bit up that rope so that I can lay it flat down onto the top of that bevel edge of the frame. And you can see here how it's laying nice and flat. and it's almost just the perfect fit for it. So I'm going to just add some hot glue, glue that right down, and it's actually going to get into the crevice of the frame's crack where you can seam it back together and take it apart, change out the middle part. Now I'm going to add on a green bow. I thought the green was such a really fun contrasting color, and it went along with all the fall colors, bright and happy. And now I'm going to add a button. There I am with my buttons. I can't help myself. I have a whole collection of buttons and all different colors. I am so in love with buttons. I just think they're the cutest, most whimsical thing to add to a project. So I'm going to add that button right in the middle, and at this point I'm going to stop there, and it's ready to be displayed in my home. I love the plastic tableware that they provide at the Dollar Tree, and we are going to be using these little serving bowls. I'm going to be stacking them all on top of each other to create a pumpkin shape. You pretty much can make a pumpkin out of almost anything, and that's the fun thing about fall crafts. So we're going to take these little bowls, and at their top rim we're going to glue them together with E6000 and hot glue, so that long-term, short-term hold keeps it together while the E6000 dries. This is going to keep it from falling apart and making it more sturdy. Once you've got two of them together at their rim, go ahead and stack the next bottom to bottom, and then keep going up to however tall you want your pumpkins to be. On one of them I did 3 stacked high, on the other I did 2 stacked high. So for the tallest one you're going to actually end up needing 6 bowls, and the other you'll need 4 bowls. Again, you can make them as tall as you want, and there are 12 that come in this little bowl pack from the Dollar Tree. I took it outside and I used my Rustic Orange spray paint, and I wanted to add some dimension to it so it didn't just look like bowls stacked on top of each other. So I'm going to come back in and dry brush on a lighter peachy colored orange, and I'm going to go back and forth with some rough brush strokes, and then also add in an orangey yellow tint pumpkin color. Once that has all dried, I went outside and found a twig in my backyard from some tree branches we cut down, and I'm just going to glue those onto the top. I added my first dollop of glue. I let that dry a little bit, and then I'm going to come back in with some reinforcement glue because we really want to make sure these are sticking on there well. And that glue is all going to get covered up because we're going to be using some of the Spanish moss that they have at the Dollar Tree. So add in a nice amount of glue, and then add on that moss, which is going to cover up all the glue, and it's just going to look so rustic, farmhouse chic for fall decor. I decided to come back in between those pumpkins and add in some more of the moss. I really liked how it made it look like pumpkins actually stacked on top of each other. And I did that for both of my stacks. You could skip this part. You don't have to do it. It's whatever you want to do to customize your own stacked pumpkins. Now at the top I decided to come in with a ticking stripe ribbon. I also get this from the Dollar Tree. On the taller one I made the ribbon much longer for the tails, and on the shorter one I made them shorter. These pumpkins were so quick and easy to make on a crafter's budget, and they have such a high impact because they're so tall and beautiful. I feel like adding the bows to the top really added that farmhouse charm to it. But again, if you don't want to add a bow, you don't have to. You could just leave it without it. And I also thought it would be kind of cute to put some buttons on it. But I often put a lot of buttons on a lot of my projects here, so I thought I would let this one just be without buttons this time. But the finished results are so beautiful and ready to put on any table in your home that will wow your guests. Heading over into the kitchen section and the home decor section areas of the Dollar Tree, we're going to use a pizza pan and one of these wall tiles. Now, I know these wall tiles are so popular with a lot of crafters. That's because they're just so beautiful. It really gives you that farmhouse look. So go ahead and remove them from the package, take off the stickers, and then take it outside. I used spray paint. I used my Rustic Orange on this project because I want to make sure that the paint adheres. I know some people like using chalk paint. I'm a big fan of spray paint because it goes much quicker. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to trace my pan onto the tile so I can get the sizing. I'm going to pull off that back part because once you cut the edges it comes apart for the tile. And I'm going to just keep playing with it until I get the size just right to fit in the middle of the pan. You can see that I got really close from tracing around the sides, but I needed to take it down just a little bit more in the side. And how I do this, I just smush it down and make little dots, kind of a connect the dot for my scissor to follow to be able to get that perfect round shape. Once I've got that all cut out and it's ready to be put down inside, I'm going to use 2 different adhesives so it really sticks in there because we're still dealing with metal. So I'm going to use E6000 and some hot glue and pop that right into the pan. Now we could leave it like this, it's really pretty, but I wanted to have more of a rustic fall farmhouse feel. So I'm going to come in with a cream, not a stark white, a cream paint, and I'm going to dry brush to bring forward that pattern on these tiles. This is just such a fun technique and I never get sick of doing it. How about all of you? Do you all use these tiles as much as I love them and want to use them? Once I was all done, I had this leftover handle for a paint stirrer stick that I used from a long time ago. You can use anything for the stem. You can use a popsicle stick or a craft stick, whatever you want to call those, or some rope, all sorts of different things. But I'm going to use this leftover handle. I painted it and sanded down the edges a little bit on it. And now I'm going to add some E6000 and some hot glue. And I'm going to make sure it has a nice spot on the back. I'm making the handle a little bit deeper down into the pan so it's got more of an area for a surface to grab onto that painter's handle. I get asked all the time to slow down the process whenever I make bows, so I'm going to do it here to show how I make a bow out of rope. I am simply going to create 2 figure 8s, never cutting my rope. So I made the first loop, the second loop, and I'm going to come back around and make the 3rd loop, swing it back around, make the 4th loop, and then I let the tail come out. The trick with rope is that it wants to naturally twist. So make sure when it's wanting to kind of pull and twist the wrong way, you just have to gently just twist the rope back the opposite way and it'll help it lay flat. Now I don't actually tie a knot with the rope. I'm going to come back in because I'm going to double up my bows for this project. I'm using the same ticking stripe ribbon that I'm planning on using for my second bow, and I'm going to use that to wrap around the rope. Now you can see here, I'm adjusting it, I'm making sure it's still laying flat before I lock everything into place, and I'm just taking my time to make sure it looks right and it's going to sit right. And I could speed this part up, but again, I wanted to show everybody how I do this because I get a lot of questions about this particular bow whenever you see me do it here on my channel. So once I've gone around a couple of times with that ticking stripe ribbon, I'm going to take my hot glue and glue that down into place. This is going to really help lock it all into place without things moving and shifting. So now I've got this really pretty rope bow that has such a beautiful rustic fall look to it, and I'm going to glue that right onto my pan right at the top where that handle area is, and it just looks so pretty, doesn't it? I think that this bow is so fun to make, and it is a little bulky and a little more masculine, but I love that look where it's got a little bit of a rustic masculine look but yet feminine. I think that is the sweet cherry on top of that cupcake when you can accomplish that on fall farmhouse DIY decor. Now I'm going to come in with my ticking stripe bow. Like I said, this is the more feminine bow that I'm adding on top of that more rustic manly bow. Is that even a thing? We're making it for this pumpkin. It's going to be a thing for this pumpkin. And now I'm going to add on a brown button. I just think that this buttons it all up nicely. That was a cheesy joke. On the back side, I'm going to add on a couple of leaves. I like to lock it down with a piece of ribbon so it doesn't pop off, and it has a nice finished look. Thank you so much for visiting with me here in my craft room today, stopping in, crafting with me. I love making these videos and sharing them with you all. I'm so grateful for every single one of you. I hope you get a chance to be in your craft rooms today and try to make something for the fall, maybe a pumpkin. I'm going to recommend this video right here. I hope you go and check it out. If you like this one, you're most likely going to like this other video. And don't forget to click the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. And until the next episode, bye friends.